Going live. 3. All right, what is going on, guys? It is Adam, a.k.a. Marf, and this is Marfoogle TV. We're going to talk about the president's crazy things that are happening this week. But, of course, we're also going to talk about the admin considering giving up NATO command that has been American since Eisenhower, 75 years. Again, for nearly 75 years, it has been distinctly American responsibility to have a 4-star U.S. general oversee all NATO military operations in Europe, a command that began with then World War II hero and future President Dwight D. Eisenhower. But the administration, of course, according to 2 defense officials familiar with the planning of and a Pentagon briefing reviewed by NBC News, is considering changing that. The Pentagon is undertaking a significant restructuring of the U.S. military's combatant commands and headquarters. And one of the plans under consideration, the 2 defense officials said, would involve U.S. giving up the role of NATO's Supreme Allied Commander Europe, known within military parlance as SESUR. Again, the general now in this role, who serves as the head of U.S. European Command, has been a primary commander overseeing support to Ukraine in its war against Russia. It is not clear how long such an organization could take, and it could be modified by the time it is complete. Congress also weighs in, using the power of purse should members oppose any aspect of the initiative. So I wonder if this has anything to do with the fact that our president is talking to Putin. This would be reducing our role in the direct, contact with Ukraine and how we are basically overseeing a lot of the Ukraine stuff that is going on. Is that part of it? If that's true, then this might actually really happen. We're going to talk about, of course, 2 strikes that hit Russia that are massive. Again, the pipeline, and they ended up striking Russia's nukes and the delivery systems that take them elsewhere. We're going to talk about that and much more on today's episode of Marfoogle TV. We'll be right back. Nothing in this show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect my opinion, Dex's opinion, or anyone else who works with the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. If you have not already, it helps us out if you end up going through any of our affiliates, and it helps you out if you end up protecting yourself against cybercrime. NordVPN is one of the best and one of the easiest to use. If you do not have a virtual private network, it protects your IP address, which is your online identity, which actually connects to your real address and everything else. It also connects to you. If you know anything about how they are data logging and basically getting your profiles down, you can prevent that by having a VPN. Nord is, again, one of the easiest. Download it. It's like an on switch and off switch. All you have to do. Go to marfooglenews.com/VPN. Not only will you get a giant discount on this, but you will also be helping us. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate everyone that goes through any of our affiliates. Can't say thank you enough. All right, what is going on? Tracy Q, hey, nice to see you, Linda. Feel better, Teresa? I'm sorry, Teresa, you are not feeling well. I mean, you guys know I went through my rough patch. Kevin Kennedy, TMI, what is happening? Beth, we have Penny Salmons. Gillian Mason, nice to see you. Keisha Oakley, thank you for being a member, Gillian, and thank you, Think, for being a member. Joshua Gibson, thank you, says hello. Barbara Burnstead, sorry about that. And then Brian and Debbie McCartney, thank you. Teresa Portillo, hey, it says thank you, I feel all the love. Hey, Barry McCockiner, thank you. That was good. And then Scott Dom, thank you. Patricia Serdal, we have M. St. G and Rosie. Kevin, thank you for being here, and what's up? That was good. All right, let's get into it. And, of course, we have a lot to get into. Yeah. And we're going to bring in my co-host/internet brother, Dex James. What is going on, and how are you doing?
Well, hello, Adam, and hello, Foogle fam. I'm doing just fine.
All right, so we have, of course, the Hamas launches first attack on Israel since the ceasefire collapse. So this is, again, a back and forth, and now we have both parts to it.
Yeah, exactly. The ground troops started moving in from Israel's side, and now we've got Hamas launching their attack back. So they have been striking targets or trying to strike targets in. They claimed responsibility for the rockets that were fired into Israel on Thursday. So the launch is the first response from that group since the ceasefire. And it's obviously Israel was the first one to break the ceasefire. Well, they claim the other side broke the ceasefire because they weren't moving forward with releasing anybody, as well as they also had heard intel that they were about to launch their own attack. So that's why they went in and preemptively struck. But technically they were the first ones to strike kinetically. So now we've got the retaliation back.
Yeah, and I mean, this, as far as this is going to further it, when they strike back, that says right there that it's still in structure that's going to tell the world or allow the parties to say, hey, this structure is still alive and going. So it will only further the calls for this to continue on going. Now, of course, right now, war is pretty much in every country. There's either the talk of war or there's physically war. So right now, I'm praying that everything really goes the opposite direction from where it has been going. But right now, we can see, right now, in the last week, we've had a kickoff. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but from even last week on Monday when we had that lunar eclipse, it was like all of these things were moving forward. Aircraft carriers heading towards the Middle East. You had, of course, all of these prior events in the 3 days before that. The president calling out the Houthis and saying Iran's going to be responsible for it. We are heavily going to be involved in the Israel-Iran conflict if that ends up popping off. And now, prior to this, Iran did not have nuclear weapons. Now, many experts say they actually might even have them already, and they've been saying it for years. And now it's at the point where it wouldn't be crazy to believe that all of a sudden they do, or something happens, or we see a Fantastic Freddy, a false event happen that gets everything popped off. Meanwhile, NATO is for sure continuing the war with Russia. NATO wants to be in this, and now they're preparing even more. We're going to show you that. NATO is now fully prepping for this. So, yeah. And speaking of which, do you want to go over this? Dex, how to survive nuclear war after a bomb is dropped.
Why? Why are they putting this out, right? Well, they're putting it out because they're wanting us to know that the escalation of nuclear threat from Russia is still there, and they want everyone to be prepared. So they continue to push this narrative that we're moving towards a nuclear war and that we need to know what to do. So this goes through the standards of like, what do you do in the event? In the U.S., we'll probably, if a launch was sent to us, we'd probably have less than 30 minutes to react, or 30 minutes of notification time between the wireless emergency alert, the emergency alert system, and then potentially a presidential alert if they chose to send one out during that time period. That's how you would end up hearing about something like this. They tell us. And then they also say that during that time, if you can't seek shelter, the most important thing to do would be to cover your eyes, because you, within anywhere from 11 to 50 miles from blast area, depending on the weather and the time of day, you can get blindness from it. Of course, they say to lay down on the ground, cover your face, put your arms underneath your body to hopefully survive and last the fire that flashes through. The first 30 minutes being the most significant. They do talk about the Hawaii emergency alert as an example of what happened when people were warned that something like this was going to happen. Everybody panics. So they said pay attention to be prepared for that phase. But they talk about, if you can make it through the first 24 hours in shelter and away from fallout, you have a very significant chance of surviving.
Who was that? Patricia Serdal says pushing fear and anger. Well, think about this too. With the current president in office, they, of course, big media wants you to think, oh, this is going towards a nuclear war. Meanwhile, most of the things tell us that he's working with Putin. Here's the thing, whether he is or not, or whether we're at the worst stage we are at, first strike is not, I don't think the first strike is not first on the table. The reason we dropped a bomb on Japan, and there's tons of alternate reasons, but essentially it came at the very end of it to end something. I don't think anybody wants to start a war with a nuke, especially with all the new technology we have, with the new, stealth technology they have, with everything that they have. They will infiltrate. They will do cyber attacks before any of this. You could do more damage with an EMP than you could with a nuke. A single nuke would knock out a city. An EMP would knock out our entire country in a year. And the damage would do itself. In fact, an EMP wouldn't take a single life itself, but it would knock down the grid. And then we lose infrastructure, we lose water. If you have the damage done by the country itself, then that's a win-win in any country's eyes, right? They're not actually harming a single soul with an EMP. Once that water stops flowing, and once the gas stations stop working, and once the hospitals stop having power, and once the pharmacies are closed, then we're done. I mean, look at how our country reacts to a regional disaster. Look at how much our funds have been misappropriated. And then you think about the fact of how much fraud and how much fraudulent money went elsewhere. Think about when the massive disaster happens. Think about something happens that's countrywide, something that they practice using the presidential alert for. That system too is used just like in Greenland. They're going to pick certain people. They're going to be picking out the people they want to know about it, and they'll be able to tell and warn people before something happens. The rest of us are going to be led astray. I mean, even if we all got a warning from the presidential alert that says, hey, there's nukes coming to every city, there's nothing we can do about it. I mean, you have a few minutes. We saw in Hawaii when the nuclear alarms went off, it was like, what could anybody do about it? That story still boggles my mind because there was so much shady stuff around it. So, there's not much we can do about it, but they keep telling us nukes. I don't think that we will have a nuclear strike. I think if anything, Israel could have one, and it might even be a fantastic Freddy, or Iran could have one, fantastic Freddy style, or Europe, a single nuke that would, totally just get everybody going. Something like that I think could happen. But I don't think Russia's trying to strike. I mean, they've got all of the NATO countries. They've got several countries on our side that have nukes. They don't want to deal with all that. Nobody is trying to play Russian roulette here. Figure of speech, but you get what I'm saying. Most of these countries, if we go to war, the war first will be cyber. Cyber is the most likely scenario here, or EMP. So yeah, with this, look at the messaging here. I do believe a war is coming, but I don't think it's going to be the end of the world, and it's most certainly not going to be the end right off the bat. Like, that would just be stupid. Before we move on, make sure to go check out Jace. I just saw somebody say that they take daily iodine drops. Not everybody goes that far. But again, if nuclear weapons or nuclear anything is your worry, the one thing is, like with the story we just covered over on news, that gentleman who is a firefighter had supposedly pipe bombs. He had all of these crazy things. He had a shortened barrel AR-15. He had building plans. He had all sorts of different weird stuff on him. Looks like a sleeper cell. Well, he's just one. And the position he picked was a firefighter, somebody who is just going to literally be invisible to most law enforcement. So really think about that going forward. I think any attack that's going to happen on us will be very personal. But as far as iodine and stuff goes, like things like that, a lot of people do that as part of their daily health regimen. But if we did have a nuclear strike, or if somebody did a dirty bomb is more likely in my mind than any kind of nuke strike, then you definitely want to have some of that stuff. Marfooglenews.com/prep, not this one. You can go over there and get iodine if you want that. if that's your worry. But over here, marfooglenews.com/Jace, this is a great service you can do quickly on your phone or tablet or from the comfort of your couch or from your desk at work on your computer. You can order, again, a kit that has all of the most commonly prescribed antibiotics. This is the Jace case on the left, and that has, again, all of the different antibiotics. But you can also speak with the board-certified doctor and go, hey, I need albuterol. I need an emergency inhaler for my nephew or whatever. Again, you can do that, and they'll add it in. There's actually a list of all the things that are possible, so go check that out, marfooglenews.com/Jace, and make sure to use the code MARF. We have hit like a brick wall with covering almost anything now. So I stopped caring about a lot of, I'm not going to filter every single word just to get by. And again, it was because before, in the last 4 years, it was like you could just disappear, literally disappear. Everything you have just disappears. But at this point, I do want to say there's no way around it unless you guys share us out. So more help than anything is sharing us out. Share with a friend and family member because they are not trying to get this out there. You can always tell. Like when I see a channel in a short amount of time get 1 million, 2 million, 3 million subscribers, I'm like, how? I wonder. And especially when they're just going all out. Then I think like, Ganda or paid something. For those that said that about us, I'm sure they're looking at us and they're going, well, they just cannot get past that wall. You would think you could tell the difference between who's on the target and who's not. And then, of course, make sure to go over to our website, sign up for our email alerts. Again, if anything was to happen, you would be able to be contacted so we can tell you where we're at. And then, Dex, let's talk about war footing, survival guides, mass evacuations, huge bunkers, and conscription, how the whole of Europe is preparing for World War III. Yet America thinks nothing's happening. Again, exactly what I think is going down.
Yeah, I mean, just look at the infographic that's in here. It sort of lays out the map and shows you which countries have done what actions, like which ones have done survival guides for their public rearming, which ones have the conscription plans, which ones are building nuke plans, and which ones are investing in war bunkers. That map sort of paints a big picture of where they think the front line is, and also which countries are investing heavily, like Sweden and Germany and Poland and France. And we just saw today France was pushing out I think it was survival guides and other things like that. So yeah, it's a big expansion and preparation for war. A 20-page booklet will give advice to French civilians on how to defend the Republic in the face of an invasion. I mean, that's the kind of stuff they're putting out.
They're missing a couple. Finland, along with Poland has nuke plans, right? Finland asked if they could be under the umbrella. France, of course, nuke plans there. Rearming, almost all of them, right? The tank is rearming. Yeah, everybody is rearming except for Denmark and Sweden. Sweden already they have a good chunk of preparation, but they are going full out. And I don't think this is for no reason. I don't think this is to scare their people. I think that this is because this is history repeating itself. It's going to happen again. And it's really sad because Europe has some of the oldest architecture. If this happens again, I think that the stuff that is still there, I mean, you're going to be rebuilt a third time. You're going to have historic buildings that disappear and never come back. You're going to have architecture that's just gone forever. These are the front lines. Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania, like that's the doorstep right there. And, I don't necessarily think it's going to be Russia and Belarus just going in for no reason. I think that the things that are happening, the things we're about to cover here, is what is going to push this even further. They're not stopping. This is picking up. And here in America, we have so much messaging and so much media, so much distraction that, here we feel very comfortable. I mean, heck, right now our president is making a golden dome. We're making a defense system, for God's sakes. We've got troops all around our borders. We've got new laws going into place. We're putting tariffs on everybody. We are isolating ourselves. And a lot of people believe that's what we need to do, because what it looks like is we're going to isolate ourselves from World War III in the beginning. But that's what we have done every previous time. Then some sort of event like Pearl Harbor happens, and then boom, we're in it. And do you think that if the World War III is going down in Europe, do you think that Iran's not going to take that advantage to do the plan that they've been planning on the U.S. for that long? All of a sudden, if Iran does something, has sleeper cells activate, there's, across the country attacks, which was what was talked about at the beginning of the year, January. They said that they are planning massive attacks with over 1,000 people in the U.S., 1,000 people in Europe to do coordinated events. Now you look and you see this firefighter that was just arrested with pipe this, building plans, that, blah, 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 all of these things. Is he one of the 1,000? That makes perfect sense. Or am I connecting a dot that they want me to connect? You always have to question that. What's going on, Jordan Brock, Lone Wolf, Mike Guyver, and Schmitty, Sarah 2.0. Thank you for making it. And see here, think again. Thank you. Thank you for 12 months. That's awesome. Thank you. James Sones, and Aiming for Wisdom. I will have to check out that Alaska volcano thing. Thank you for the suggestion. And then people named in JFK assassination documents are not happy with their personal information being released. Yeah, Dex, I wouldn't be either if I was in there, but if they're in there, there's probably a good reason, right?
Well, yeah, it looked like the one example is a former lawyer for even Trump now, Joseph D. Genova. Yeah, he's upset because his social security number, his name, a lot of information was in there that should have been redacted. Like there was certain things that he thought should have been redacted. Now he's not mad. He says, I'm mad that it happened, but I'm not necessarily mad that the time in which they pushed the documents out. He said the people that do the job just didn't do the job. They're supposed to review the documents and block out social security numbers, things like that. Because now he's got his personal information out there. And he's had people calling him, people showing up at his house, etc. So I get it. To those that are alive and living, their personally identifiable information like that, especially an address and social security number and phone number, ought to be hidden.
Wait, so they had socials in there? Why would they do that? Or was it an accident?
No, the socials were in there. They just weren't redacted. It's part of the files.
Well,
they didn't redact them.
Okay, but then they don't. But at the same time, they don't show us the damn the first conversation with LBJ and CIA after it happened. Like, that's stupid. How did they not? Did they not? Some bureaucrat didn't read the 80,000 pages. Like, you would think they would break it up. 10 people would do 10,000 pages over a month or something before they took a while to release it. You think they would go through and at least redact social security numbers. Like, that's just stupid. That's something that I think, like, there's an overall rule no matter what to not do that. But I guess, did they have to because it had to be verifiable that person was that person? I don't get that.
They didn't have to be out in the public. I can't think of any valid reason to put somebody's social security number out in public.
Rashid, that I would say that's half correct. Says nothing new in those documents. There's new stuff, but none of it is relevant or even helps further the what we didn't know. None of it. There's a new piece that has somebody's social security number on it. But how does that help us get to the bottom of the mystery? It just doesn't make sense. And then we have Ukraine strikes Russian strategic bomber airfield, triggering huge blast. Remember, this is part of their new doctrine. Russia, it was part of their old one, but they further then made sure to specify that if you hit these very strategic bomber locations, that this is grounds for them to launch a nuke. Are they trying to get them to launch a nuke? And realize the timing here. Business Insider and other major media publications all of a sudden talking about preparing and surviving nukes. And then you have them striking a base that literally has their delivery system for the nukes and nukes on site. I mean, this whole thing, it's like we are making sure to get this going. Yeah. As far as this goes, they struck an area. This is their nuclear bomb-carrying bombers that they just struck. And this isn't the first time. Ukraine struck a major Russian strategic bomber airfield on Thursday with drones, triggering a huge blast and fire about 435 miles from the main front lines. Huge cloud that could be seen for miles and miles away. That was a screen grab from one of the social media videos on it. Dex, when they're hitting bases like this, they are directly going, they know the doctrine. The doctrine's been made public. Russia says if you hit this, this, and this, and if you destroy more than 3 of this, this, and this, that is legal grounds for us. We have declared to the world, if you do this to our country, know what the consequences could be. And now they have done it. They have done it time and time again as if nothing is going to happen.
Exactly. It's not the first. But you know what? I think they're skating around it. So if the actual doctrine says if they're attacked by a country that's being supported with equipment from a country that's nuclear powered. So like the U.S. So if they were using, like ATACMS to take out Engels Air Force Base, that would be clear because the ATACMS are U.S. and they're given by us and provided by us and managed by us. But in these cases, they seem to only be hitting these bases, at least for the most part, with drones, and the drones are always Ukrainian made. They're not typically provided by the U.S.
Yeah. So with this whole thing, this was a major strike overnight, which brings us into our next one. Oh wait, hold on. I have to pull this up here. So let me real quick. Let me pull up this thing. All right.
It's in up next.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I forgot. I didn't know if I sent it to you or not. Okay, so let me pull up this other one. This is a tweet that Ilea sent me as it was breaking. So let me show you that right here. All right. So this was this is also taken from about 3 miles away. Ukrainian drone attack on CPC pumping station in Krasnodar. So another huge pipeline, the end of a pipeline at the pumping station. So they smack dab right into their pocket. With events like this, I mean, you guarantee that Russia is going to then turn around and strike even harder. So these are all moves that are happening in the same week as all of this destruction and all of these threats and all of the countries that are essentially lining up for war. Dex, go ahead.
Well, this one goes directly against the current ceasefire. The current ceasefire was don't strike infrastructure related to energy. So that meant no hitting oil and no in Ukraine's case and no hitting power stations in Russia's case. So if this is true and this has just happened, then it happened after the agreement.
Yep, and we this is not, as of now, we have no formal confirmation of this. We could not find verification other than social media. So by tomorrow, we should know if it is correct. If so, they have broken the ceasefire, and tomorrow we will be covering ceasefire, dissolving. And this is on the Ukrainian side. And after a month of kind of hearing these little tit-for-tat arguments with Zelensky and Zelensky's comments, like, no, we don't want that. We've even seen videos of Ukrainians coming out and saying, Zelensky doesn't speak for us. Give them the Russian-speaking place. Let's be over with this. Give them the areas that they want and, be done with this. all of the young people there are getting snatched up and put on the front lines. A lot of people there are done with it. I don't know if the majority still wants to keep this going and wants to protect it. What's funny is Zelensky is made more of a hero everywhere else in the world, where people in Cincinnati are, putting their profile pictures up as Zelensky. But meanwhile, they're scared shitless. They're like, this is all happening. Meanwhile, the people that are in the military in the Ukraine, at least the high up ones, they're sitting in their mansions in their gated neighborhoods. We're talking about mansions. And you're like, well, how did they have mansions? And if you look at them, they're all new construction, like brand new buildings. Makes you wonder. Wages, by the way, thank you. You don't have to, first of all, you don't have to support, especially when the message is thanks for prayers for my wife's cancer surgery. Yeah, and wages, everybody here, and wages, how you've been here long enough to know what I went through with cancer and my best friend, losing my best friend to cancer. I took him to every one of his appointments for 6 months until he had esophageal, which went to his liver and then went to his brain. Within 6 months, he was gone. Once it went to his brain, he couldn't walk. He was going blind at the very end. I could not believe, and this shows you how much pain they're in. He got a bottle of Vicodin. It was like a half gallon of liquor. That's what size it was, and it was liquid Vicodin. I could not believe that. I was like, "That's what you have to take," and he's like, "Yeah." I mean, he basically chugged that thing. And cancer. Like, why the hell have we not, with all of these technological advances, come up with a cure? Most of the people I talk to believe that we thoroughly have. That the rich and the famous and the extremely connected have some sort of connection with it. But the medicinal companies, would you rather spend $300,000, treat you once and you're done? Or if it was correct, like you spend no money at all and get cured, or would you rather have somebody on a medication for the rest of their life and pay out and through the nose for that medication that probably costs dollars to make, but you charge whatever demand is? So $500 a pill, $1,000. My dad would still be alive if the medication for HIV and AIDS back then was proper. Magic Johnson had it at the same time back in the late 80s and early 90s. Yet he lived because he had millions of dollars, whereas somebody like my dad, who was on regular insurance, like, state insurance, did not. So personally, that, the cancer stuff, I feel for you, but it makes me pissed. It really does. Especially since most of those cancers we've also know probably have come from what is around us, our environment, our food, everything else and around it. I mean, they've got warnings physically on half of the stuff that people still just chug down. I mean, it's insane. Let's see here. Oh, yes. Thank you, Dex. So I saw this the other day, too. I cannot believe this. So meanwhile, speaking of the
Adam,
mansions,
before you jump into it, Black Cover Digital just said it in chat, so I want to at least give them credit because that's what made me go look for it.
Oh, no. Yeah. So, by the way, Black Cover Digital, I haven't seen what this is, but I see the name of it, and I already know what you're talking about. The Ukraine ski resort. So they are making $1 billion. I think it's $1 billion. So hold on. Let me click on what this is. I don't know if this is an article.
$1.2 billion.
$1.2 billion resort. But yet we are sending $400 million. Why are we sending $400 million? Like, I understand the $50 million and, maybe they had this, but we just sent $400 million. Where did that money actually go? This is BS. They now thought nobody would notice that they're making a $1.2 billion resort Do they think that we're all going to go, well, they deserve it. They're in a wartime and they need some fun and relaxation. Who's going to go to this thing? The Ukrainian country is doing horrible financially just like everybody else in the world. What in the F is this? This blows my mind. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm showing it on the other screen. Look at this. $1.2 billion resort. This is infuriating. I actually saw this on a Twitter video. It was like one of those, random people going, oh, can you believe this? I think it was probably taken from TikTok. But I could not believe this. So great comment. I am just in disbelief there is stuff like this. While its Eastern Front is fighting off the Russian invasion, Ukraine is building a huge new holiday resort on the other side of the country. This is so infuriating. This is more infuriating this is just incredible. This is more infuriating than all of the military members, which should be getting paid less than the average American working minimum wage. That's literally the stats. Owning mansions. That's our money. That is our ski resort. I hope that every U.S. citizen has a damn lifetime pass to that freaking resort. And I hope that we all get a free ticket first class to fly there. That is bold. Thank you. Great comment. Dex, can you believe that?
Yeah, it's nuts. I wonder where the money's coming from. I mean, we all think it's coming from Ukraine. I mean, it could be outside investors, but still, optics don't look good when you're in a war to be spending $1.2 billion on a ski resort. I mean, there's so many other things that country needs right now, like rebuilding all the buildings that have fallen. Talk about investing money. Invest money in building back.
Why would investors be making a $1.2 billion thing when there's a war questionable? Like, Ukraine might be taken over, yet investors are going to spend $1.2 billion making a resort there?
Yeah, Russians like to ski too, right?
Yeah, but Russians will take control over it, power, and then say, you don't own this anymore. We own this land. We own this ski resort. And then take away your $1.2 billion investment. That's why I don't think this is legit. Watch, it's a Russian. That will tell you something if it's a Russian investor. David Causeway, thank you for subscribing. Mr. Rasta Monkey, thank you for subscribing. And thank you, Darren, for subscribing. I appreciate that. Lots of new subscribers there. Thank you. Again, welcome to the fam. Welcome to the Fugel fam. Appreciate all of you guys. All right. And Dex, this is so crazy. Robot dog learns, adapts like humans. Swedish AI startup. This is scary.
Yeah. So the dog named Luna has a functional digital nervous system capable of learning and adapting like humans and many animals, according to the company IntelliCell. They announced it this week. And one of the first use cases of the physical and agentic AI, which can make decisions and take actions towards specific goals rather than just performing narrow tasks or generate content. The robot dog would be able to learn like a real dog. So talk about advancing AI and changing the way it's now being meshed into machines, like in this case, a robotic animal, and now having it be able to learn and do its own thing.
Yeah, this is funky, and adapts like humans. Go ahead.
Yeah, just a quick heads up. I just saw a headline come in from No One Here Yet, who always gives us good stuff. Breaking: Heathrow Airport is now closed for the day. The entire airport in London. So that's the big airport in London. It's shut down because of fire at a substation that's killed all the power in that area.
By the way,
that's kind of weird.
Let me see. Hold on. Let me see if I can pull this up without showing private stuff here. No one here yet has sent us a lot of great stuff. You are able. You're. No one here yet, and Leah both spot things really fast. Here, while we're live. No. let's see here. They sent me a picture of another thing that was like something that a suggestion, kind of like what we were talking about earlier. Let me see if I can pull this up. Oh, actually, this is easier. It's messaged to you as well. Can you go to your X and grab that picture that they sent a little bit ago? Before that, it was earlier today. Oh, maybe. Oh,
Send
yeah.
up next.
It's right above thank you. I said thank you.
Yeah, it's about the French, the French story we covered earlier about the preparing for.
Yeah.
And warning. Yeah, put the picture. It's in up next. Top link.
Thank you. So let's see here. Yeah, so let me put this over here. This was even more. So this is the Republic of France, right? I can't tell you what that says, but 72-hour kit. It's telling them to have a go bag. They're even saying put some games in for your kids. Water, 6 liters per person. Necessary food. Chargers for your phone, flashlights, proper warm clothes, your eyeglasses, anything to make sure you can see. And then, of course, cash and car keys and all of your keys and stuff, and photocopies of documents that you might need to travel. Identification. Yeah. So what is French trying to tell their people, right? Yeah. And before we move on, make sure to go check out EMP Shield. As we have obviously talked about, some of the most probable events, in my opinion, are EMP or a cyber event. In the case of an EMP strike, which now almost all of our adversaries can do to us, they can do to us right now. Including North Korea. They have satellites that fly over us once every other day or something like that. This is a device that will ground the signal and protect your vehicles in less than 500 trillionths of a second. This is the same company that's not only contracted with agencies like DHS and DOD, but they're also on the top of the DEMSO team helping protect the Texas grid. Go to marfooglenews.com/EMP. This is a super easy device to put in your vehicles, your trucks, your cars, motorcycles, boats, generators, super important. It say, oh, well, the power's not turning on and it doesn't come on for a year. Well, you have protected all of your stuff, so your generator can power it for the next year. Or when that power does come back on, there will be no supply lines. There will be none of that. So you're not going to be able to buy new appliances. You're not going to be able to buy new anything. So again, if you want to protect your stuff, get the home version, get the car version, and get the generator version. marfooglenews.com/EMP. You're going to get $50 off per device. That stacks on top of any sale with that code MARF. And you're going to help our channel. Again, it helps us survive, and it again helps you prepare. So thank you guys for doing so. Appreciate it. Again, marfooglenews.com/EMP. Also, they make one for the energy. If you have your energy system, you can go and get that directly protected. They also make one for the bug out as well. So again, make sure to go check that out. And then this is super nuts. So for those of you that didn't join us for that Marfoogle short, I highly recommend going over there because this was gone into more depth. Good choice of words there, considering. They believe that two scientists, Filippo Bondi and Garranga, I forget what his first name is, have now said that they believe that there is 600-meter structures that go directly down underneath the pyramids, below the Great Pyramid of Giza. So, again, they're saying that cylindrical objects go down as far as 600 meters. I almost thought, like, is this a pit to hell? right? That's 1,800 feet. It's almost a mile. Dex, do you want to give your perspective on this? And this is using special technology, SAR, synthetic aperture radar.
Well, I don't think they were underground bunkers by any means, but it makes you wonder how they were built, if they exist. Now, the technology they use, it's not questionable. It's just the way it looks at stuff. It tries to tell you if there's, structure and what may be under the ground. So it was a type of radar they were using. It's their hypothesis that what they found were these massive structures and the size we just described. How they were built, how they were put there, like was the ground really below there and these were built up, or did they dig holes in the ground to build these structures deep? I don't know. It doesn't matter.
Gosh.
It's crazy to think about if it's true.
The shape of them is cylindrical and cigar shaped. Do you remember Oumuamua? Oumuamua was one of the first interstellar asteroids, and it came into our universe, supposedly, and they monitored it. It went by Earth, and then it sped up as it left. It sped up. I think that they tried to logically go and say it might have had a gas explosion that could have launched it even faster. But most people, including Harvard, it was at Yale or Harvard. It was a Harvard professor, two Harvard professors that both had suggestions that this might even be a UFO. My crazy brain just thought of something like, what if there were ships that were like Transformer style, Oh, these were hiding in the ground for thousands of years and they just awakened or something. What if these were ancient alien ships or something and they built the pyramids on top of them? What a trip, though. No matter what it is, they say that this is finding 600-meter-long structures underneath. What the? That is so far down. I mean, the pyramids themselves are a wonder to even think, like, how did they do this without technology? Or did they have technology? We cannot do it today.
The coil structure makes you, goes right back to the whole thought process around where the pyramids used for energy creation of some sort.
Or is this where they shot the Apple TV show Silo? Yeah, I don't understand it. It is so crazy. And there are lots of ancient, there's hieroglyphs that show what look like light bulbs and things. People have thought that some of the things that were put there, there's a lot of hieroglyphs that actually show what looks like, UFO or flying objects. It really makes you wonder. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. Alex Galagos, thank you so much for your support. I appreciate your support as well. Thank you this week. Wages World, thank you again. And then Stephen Click says, the rich have cancer pills that are super expensive, and I've got to take one a month. We the people all pay for that, though, through premiums for individual insurance and our taxes. Corruption to no end. Yeah, Stephen, I don't understand it. Oh, correction, they need to take one pill a week. I've got to take one a month. Huh. Wow, that's crazy. A week. That's so crazy. Yeah, and then they're constantly coming up with some new treatment that is so much easier. But oh wait, that's not covered. It's horrendous. Thank your mods by going over to marfooglenews.com/friends. Again, you've got that. Go over there. You have all sorts of great people, so go check them out. Wages is one of them. His link is right. Sorry, just hit me. The time just hit me. But also you have the friends list, creators. We just added Lisa Haven down there too. She stopped in last night and said hello. That was incredibly nice of her. She is under L right there. So if you want to go say hi to her, you can also do so as well. She just hit a half a million subscribers, so thank you. All right. And thank you, Dex, for all your service. I appreciate you.
Much love. Great job, brother.
And Steve, thank you so much for subscribing. We have Alex Barr. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you. Grace, thank you for subscribing. And again, thank you everybody that has stopped by tonight. It is now time for the shoutro. It's not an outro. It's not a shout out. It's a shoutro. If you stay in the chat, you'll be ported over to Jams. If not, I will see you next time. Again, be safe, be prepared, and Marf out. Wages, top supporter tonight. Thank you so much.